Lorraine.
Hi, everybody. It's 1 o'clock on Wednesday, December 16th. Have you done all your Christmas shopping? Buy local, stay local when you do your Christmas shopping, even though Amazon is so much easier. We want to make sure that folks do get some help. First, I want to apologize to the persons who put questions in the agenda last week and that we promptly ignored and did not answer. So I apologize. We'll make sure that we answer them today. A couple of things, let me find my agenda so that I make sure I do it. Okay, I want to remind folks that we are going to be having a Goodbye 2020 barbecue next week, Monday. So we've asked all of the CAC members to poll their constituents to get a number. We did a barbecue once before and we ballparked and guesstimated the number, but this time I'd rather have a better idea. So please let your department chair or unit head know whether or not you'll be joining us on Monday for the BBQ. Once I get all of the information, and it's by close of business today, I will be determining your appointment time. So we're doing this so that it's a little bit more staggered. I don't want everybody showing up at the beginning and having crowd control issues. So I want to make sure that I give folks a 15-minute window to come and pick up the hamburgers and or hot dogs and chips and stuff. We won't be providing any beverages, so make sure you have your own beverage. And it will be grab and go. We really don't want, gatherings of people just trying to be CDC and COVID compliant and stuff like that. So I'll be sending out announcement to each of the units about what your schedule 15-minute. Yes, there will be vegetarian options. If you're going to report your participation to your department chair or unit head, and you have, gluten-free, keto diet, whatever things you're going to need. If it's vegetarian, you want to make sure you have vegetarian, so I get a better ballpark, because we will buy Boca burgers or veggie burgers or something. No, we're going to, Susan, we're going to try to find those little packets of condiments so that people can take away ketchup, mustard, and mayo without using, the same container, and we'd have to sanitize everything. So we're going to go shopping and we're going to find those little packets so that everybody has access to the kinds of things that they need. Within reason, you guys. So you'll be free, Hal, to take only those condiments that meet with your approval. But some people really do like mayo. I especially like mayo on French fries, but that's just me. Other things on the agenda. We did get a memo last week from Erica that was the next level of rolling out of the conversations. So what is important to understand is this is like the next iteration of conversations, and the conversations will continue in the spring. Dependent on which of the system-wide work groups wants to continue. So it's up to the work groups to continue. We're going to be having conversations on our campus about things that are specific to our campus. So understanding that some of those conversations will be directed by the system, or at least convened at the system. So things about centralized services, for instance. We don't make that call on our own. That's going to have to be something that the system comes up with to convene. There are also conversations that involve multiple campuses. So they're going to need to be called by system folks, or one campus takes the lead. And then there are conversations that are just specific to our campus about what our campus needs to do. So I've asked the AGOs to think through a little bit about what that process might look like, because it's rather complicated to think about the conversations and how they need to be inclusive where they can be. Some obviously are going to be personnel kinds of conversations that are not campus-wide conversations. So again, it's a balance between how broadly to define the group of people to have the conversation and when those conversations need to happen. So much of what is included in Erica's memo is stuff that will require many more conversations to think through the viability of one model or another. In the cases of program consolidations, which model works the best, what would it mean for any campus, and all of that needs to get talked about through the spring, and some of which will get implemented in the fall, and nothing before the fall. I understand that in the arts and sciences arena, there are, and also in other program areas, there are already conversations happening between department chairs on different campuses, talking about, can you help me out here with providing access to students? I'm going to cut my class. Can you accommodate my students? So I think those kinds of things are happening across already the campuses, and I appreciate everybody having those conversations without waiting for anybody else to say, go ahead, please talk. It's good. Those are important conversations, and they are important to have at that level, at the department chair level, where those practitioners know best if they can accommodate requests from students on other campuses, or can another campus help us out with offering classes for things that are overloaded. Let me stop there and ask what questions you might have about that Erica's memo or what happens next. And I can answer whatever I know about what happens next.
I have a question about the 350-to-1 ratio for counselors. Do you know any more about that?
Only that it was discussed and was seemed to be okay by some people, and Noelle might know more about what happened. I know it was discussed at the chancellors, and everybody seemed to think that, okay, well, that's a measure that comes from another organization, right? It was NACADA that has this as a general standard about what is the ratio for counselors.
In her memo, and that's an academic advising ratio. How does that impact other elements of counseling? Like, are all counselors supposed to then support 350? Like, I guess I'm just asking for clarification, because those of us, because it was cited in the thing as something we need to work towards. So I'm just asking for clarification on it.
And I don't know enough about how campuses are organized other than ours. And I don't know if other campuses, and you guys, the counselors, probably know better, and Noelle certainly, about how different other campuses are to ours in terms of how counselors are assigned to special populations as opposed to academic advising. And I know there's nobody who does it the way we do it, in having some in academic affairs and having others in student affairs. I know nobody else does that. But does do the other campuses also have special POPs? I don't know. You guys can
I mean,
help me understand. No, Al, you want to say something?
yeah, I can share a little bit. I mean, that ratio or that number is something that's in the charter, in the document. I don't think it's a total agreement. It's a hesitantly agree because it's just there. And the way the vice chancellors or the dean of students of each campus is doing it is basically using that number, but also as an argument for the very reasons you were sharing, Shannon. So, real quickly, the 350-to-1 ratio, if you look into that document, it comes out of NACADA, which is academic advising profession. And we could argue of where that article comes from, but in the end, there's a variety of counselors, and the 350-to-1 ratio doesn't fit with all of them. So within all of the feedback to the campuses, especially coming from your student affairs administration, clearly states of why, in what situations it works and what it doesn't. I can say for our campus, the 350-to-1 doesn't work because of the variety of counselors we have. And the typical examples are like those that don't do academic advising. So we can use like the mental health counselor, Cindy. A ratio of 350 is basically too much. It'll basically go against her own ratio, which is more likely less than 200. So those things were clearly painting out in the document. So I know it's there, but it's one of those, we're going to leave it there and then either argue for or against it. The other thing to take into consideration is our campus, although quite large in terms of the student population, it does mess up the ratio of the counselors because of the counselors we have on campus. Not other campuses that have smaller populations also have a smaller counselor ratio. So some of them are a little bit closer to that, which is why maybe there's a kind of like hesitantly agreeing. I don't think we all agree it, but in this current situation, we're just taking what we can get and then use that to guide how we're making decisions and moving forward during the budget situation.
Thanks, Noya. Any other questions from others about the memo or next steps? Yes, Susan J is asking about groups that have not met that were going to be in phase 2. Yeah, those will be convened in the spring. I'm not sure by whom. Other questions?
The facilitators should be contacting the groups.
Have all the facilitators been named, Maria?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Like I know that I have a phase 2.
Ah.
I never convened it yet.
Okay. I'll follow up with you. I want to know who it is too.
Okay. And then some of the campus facilitators are again planning for meeting the groups. I know that the transfer programs, we will be meeting sometime this December during the break to plan for the spring conversations. So we will be contacting the folks who attended or who were part of the initial conversation again in spring.
Okay. Other questions about the memo? Okay, we'll go on. This is a question about CARES funding. So Noel, I'll read this is a question that was asked last time and we did not answer, and I'll ask Noel to respond. Will there be another round of CARES funding to disperse to students for spring 2021? How about urgent student relief funds? And that's in part because there was a big announcement from Manoa saying they got $3 million to give away. So what is the status for us and our students, Noel?
Okay, sorry, I was trying to get the website up, but so currently, if you look on the website for CARES funding, they're calling it CARES 3. You'll notice there's, I think 3 of the campuses, the CCs, except 3 campuses, and that would be ourselves, Leeward, and Maui. So basically, for CARES 3, and then I think each campus is using CARES 3 money. We are not using CARES 3 money to fund this type of situation again. So some clarification: in the past, when we gave out CARES money, the 1.5 million, 1.05, I'm mixing that up. Um, those ones was from CARES 1, which had to go directly to students in forms of student aid. As you know, there's two other forms of CARES, 2 and 3, which the campus could then use to make whatever changes in response to COVID, and also kind of help to move those things along. Um, Basically, what we I think what I pitched to admin was basically to use those funds for now to fund whatever request is coming in, and in the worst case scenario, if we cannot spend those funds, then give it into student aid. And that reason was based on in the past, when we gave student aid in addition to CARES and urgent student relief, I believe our campus alone awarded, I think it was 1.8 million directly to students in terms of aid and all that. So what I wanted to do was basically use that the rest of the money to then fund the request that was coming through to help out the programs or the campus to help move forward. So as of right now, I'm going to say there is no CARES aid coming through. We are looking at alternate funds. And in the event where there is money still lying around and we have to award it, that's when we would make the quick change to then award the money. So that's your long-winded, over-explained answer on why we are not there. And again, each campus did it differently. Like I said, us, Leeward, and Maui decided not to use it, while Windward, Kauai, and I believe Honolulu or Big Island are the ones that are using it. So if you see inconsistency there, that's the rationale for why.
Thanks, Noel.
Sorry, urgent
Oh.
student relief. That one is not based on CARES, it's based on donors. So if it eventually picks up again, maybe we'll get some money, but we just don't know. We'll see. Maybe December people will donate more money and we can award that. But in terms of CARES, not right now.
Is Lynn on the call? Usually she comes. Lynn, do you know anything? Hi, sorry, put you on the spot. Do you know anything more about urgent student relief efforts from UH Foundation?
I have not heard that we were going to do a new anything, but Giving Tuesday was actually supposed to be for kind of urgent student relief and student aid funds. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes my Zoom doesn't come through. Sorry, my voice breaks.
No, okay. So
There's
if
not a large campaign coming out like we did when it first started. Giving Tuesday, the majority of the gifts went to our student aid fund here at KCC. So you have another, I would say about 4,000 to there. Knowing out that balance is still really large. So this is our rainy day. We need to use it, dive into there and allocate it out. Other than that, for students, it's just individuals. We are doing a scholarship renewal that's coming up, and those are for scholarships that are already in existence with a name. If you need special help with reaching out to a certain donor, let's get together and we can do that. But for the end of the year, that's all we have.
And I guess my message for the campus is, if you are working with students or are familiar with students who are really struggling and maybe they need something here or something there, let us know. And we can look into different sets of funds besides the CARES and the urgent student relief, which is really blanket approaches. We have other funds, which is not as big as the other ones, but it is possible. And we have worked with some other faculty who have identified students to just give them a small amount or help get past a certain point. So if you are working with those students, please let us know, and then we can do our best to try to help support them through this time.
I want to remind our departments and the account administrators to those general funds that you have for your departments. Those are able to be used for students. You could use them for all sorts of kinds of stipends and student aid, because that's what an unrestricted fund does. If you're not sure, Mary and I'm volunteering you, Mary, to help look up the purpose and make sure that that's able to be used for students. But please do, and let us know.
Thank you. The next question from the agenda that was submitted last week is about plans for canceling classes. So Maria, if you could answer the question, what's our plan?
Because, I mean, you all know that our the application has been extended until December 29th. So that therefore means that we have that little window from the December 29th to January 11 when classes starts. So we decided that January 5th is when decisions have to be made as to what classes needs to be canceled. But it doesn't mean that the department chairs should wait until January 5th. You know, like if they think that classes will not move forward anymore because it's historically low enrolled, then start canceling so that the students will have a chance to go and register for another class. But again, we're hoping that by January 5th, we have at least an idea of how many students really are late applicants, so that we could, you know, still keep some of the classes that they would need, especially if they are incoming freshmen. Then more or less we know that they're the 100 level classes that they might be needing, or the math or the English or whatever. So, but then, yeah, so January 5th is what we're shooting for to be the day when we cancel low enrolled classes.
The last day.
Yeah.
And as of today, our enrollment is down almost 10%, so 4.9% difference from spring of 20.
And a quick note to share too, I mean, we are working with Kikalike Center, and then I asked Jerry to keep us updated. In the event where if we get to the application deadline of the 28th, and there's somehow 300 or 400 students still waiting to hear back on the application, we'll let the administrators know and the deans know. So maybe to hold up on decisions. I really don't anticipate 300 or 400 applications waiting by that time. Maybe 50, but if somehow people decide to apply that late, and we might have to keep some room open, I'll keep that communicated just so we know that we're not making some decisions that could affect some potential students. But as of right now, I mean, the biggest population that we're probably concerned about is our continuing students, which we are down 10% right now. So not as bad as in the past, it's getting closer, but I think that January 5th is pretty safe in terms of what the data is showing. Unless that changes drastically, I'll probably talk to Maria and the deans, but it seems okay for now.
Yeah, and also, by the way, we all agree that, you know, Luis mentioned it already earlier, that we work with our sister campuses for low enrolled classes. Maybe we could check on another campus's schedule and see if they're offering the same class, so that we can, you know, if ours is really low enrolled, and we can at least direct our students to take a course, you know, a class in with another campus. And also we agreed, the VCAAs agreed that, you know, we could contact the department chair, and maybe they can reserve, let's say, 5 seats for our students. But then they have to register in about maybe 2 or 3 days, and then they'll open it up again, just so that we know that there is a seat available for our students if we direct them somewhere else.
Sally points out in the chat that 10% decrease is national. Yeah, everybody, I mean, everyone is feeling it. And the community college is more than 4 years because of all the variables, jobs, and all of that. Other questions related to enrollment and or class scheduling for spring 2021?
I have a question for Maria. It's Candy.
Yes, Candy.
So this is the second time that I've heard you say that that we could call another campus and then see if they might take some of our students. But again, it just brings me back to the question of, but then what happens to our faculty member that had a really tiny class, right? And what if they're full-time, and you know, what happens with their workload? so it's confusing in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, the hard part is if the class is being taught by a full-time faculty member, then maybe we could, I don't know, give him something else to do. But this will especially work with if the faculty who's assigned to teach the course is a lecturer. And that would save us from, paying the lecturer and the students. Instead of canceling it, at least the students can move forward with their courses in order to get the degree that they're looking for, they're aiming for. Yeah, we've been discussing about, how it will work for a full-time faculty member. We've not come up with a good decision yet, or how to make it work. Maybe they can teach a class in another campus. Can share that full-time faculty to teach in another campus. That could also
I know
work.
it's a difficult question, but it just kind of
Yeah,
leads back to that question for me every time. So
Yeah,
but
I
that
think
idea.
if you look in some disciplines, at least, not all, but in some, and we've done this in the past, if it was a full-time faculty member's class that's low enrolled and gets canceled, and there is a lecturer taught section that the faculty member's schedule allows her or him to teach, then you move the full-time faculty member into the lecturer taught class. And that's a way to make sure that a full-time faculty member has full-time assignment. It's not fun. None of this is fun. Yes, so Sheila says that they've had to do that, and it's been that way forever. Low enrolled classes are not new in 2020. It's been forever that way.
Louise,
Yes, Nava'a.
probably a difficult question, and I should ask you in private, but what the heck? It's almost Christmas, so here's your Christmas gift.
Okay.
So is there a union approved list of things that I may assign a faculty to do in the event they should have 5 classes, but I had to cut it down to 3? So I need to find what's worth of 2 classes for them to do something. Because I can make you a list, but I'm sure I might get into trouble if I make you a list.
Well, we have union representatives here. There's nothing in the contract that has anything to do with what faculty members can and cannot do as special assignments. I would imagine that we would want to make sure that we are doing something that is faculty grade work, that we wouldn't ask the faculty to file envelopes for recycling or that kind of stuff. There's enough projects that we would be able to find that are faculty work. I can tell you, and this is one that I know of for a fact, this was a long time ago. Caroline Nakamura was a literature teacher in arts and humanities, and I don't even know if anybody in arts and humanities still remembers Caroline Nakamura. She taught literature. Caroline Nakamura had to let go of a class that was low enrolled, and there were no classes that she could take because of her schedule. The lecturer taught sections were at the same time as her other classes, so she could not pick up a lecturer taught class. Her project assigned to her by the department chair, who was probably Shel Hirschenau at the time, she was asked to catalog the art slides in the days when we had Kodak carousels that people would use, and she needed to catalog the art slide. She was not an art teacher, but it was something that art teachers would have had to do on their own, so she was assigned that task. So there's a whole range of things. There's assessment that needs to be done, curriculum that can be updated, manuals that could be written to help people do coordination. There's all kinds of things that you don't, if it comes to a point where a faculty member does not have a full load of teaching assignments, we would want to find projects that the institution needs to have done that is faculty work or faculty related work.
Thank you.
How does cutting a class and reassigning the faculty to special assignments save money? It would save money insofar as the class would be canceled. The students that are in that class would take other classes. In arts and sciences, that is a possibility because there are many options. So it would add to tuition revenue.
I
And-
had my hand up. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, I don't think the union is going to give you a list of things that you can tell the faculty to do no way out. But if you have a specific list and you want to send it to me, I'll have them take a look at it and see, you know, anything that jumps out at them. But it's not going to go the other way around. You can just email me later.
Are we officially going to be in retrenchment? Angela says, not that I'm aware of. And that leads to this other question. So if there are no other questions on enrollment or scheduling or what happens in low enrolled classes, let me just pause there and see if there are other questions before we hit that next question, which is furloughs. And retrenchment is associated with that. Okay, so the next question in the agenda that was submitted by somebody else was, what's the update on implementation of furloughs starting January 1? Okay, here's what I know. The governor has made a proclamation for implementation of furloughs 2 days a month. The unions have not been consulted per them. They are likely putting together some litigation, some legal action to prevent the furloughs from being implemented by the governor. You may have also seen that the state legislature doesn't think furloughs are necessary and that they can find money elsewhere to shore up the state funding of $300 million, which is what the governor would like to see come out of the furloughs. So at this moment, the university is putting together implementation plans. If it should happen that January 1 comes along and the furloughs go forward, that the university will be prepared to do that. If there's an injunction against the governor's decision, then they will not implement that plan. But plans are definitely being made about what would it mean, how would it work, what would people do. So that is in the planning stages. And again, as I said, it would not be implemented if there's an injunction until such time as the legal action is resolved. But the governor has said this is how it's going to be, and other people are saying, no, it's not, hold on. And that's as much as I know. So it's in all of our best interest to pay attention to news, pay attention to your union newsletters. And of course, you know that the administrators are already undergoing pay cuts since November 1st. So we're just watching all y'all figure out what we're already being exposed to. For Angela, are we going to officially be in retrenchment? Not that I'm aware of at this time. It's not to say that somewhere down the line we will be asked to look at retrenchment. That's a possibility as we try to look for efficiencies. Retrenchment for faculty, reduction in force for other bargaining units. They all have their own procedures that are contractual. So there are things that need to be done in particular orders and cannot be done until certain other things happen. So it's all very much determined by contracts. And there is an order to things for faculty as well as for others. And what are the benefits to employees if they are subject to retrenchment or reduction in force? There are subsequent procedural things that happen. And I would urge all of the faculty to read their contract, and all of the employees in other bargaining units to read the sections of their contract that deal with retrenchment, so that you're not surprised by what happens. If somebody says we are going to go down this road, you need to know what it is that's going to happen and what needs to happen at any of those particular stages before anything else can happen. You need to be informed, and it's all in your contract. So please do take the time to look through. Any other comments about the furloughs and or retrenchment or other RIFs? Susan? Your little red, your yellow rectangle is lit.
No, it's totally a mistake. I was just giving you the big thumbs up in terms of you advising people to go to the union page and look at their, and keep up to date on the news. So good recommendation.
Okay. Any other comments from anyone else?
Louise, just a real quick one.
Uh-huh.
And I think, I don't want to speak for all the administration, but I think we're just worried for faculty. So, I mean, my own pay cut, I thought it would be like, no worries, 9.7%. Of course, I was hoping that I get an 11% pay cut. That meant I would be making more than 200,000, but I checked my pay and I don't get $200,000. But like, you know, if you're on a tight budget, it kind of nails you. And so, and not that it's, I don't know what's gonna happen, but kind of what you were saying, that I would prepare, because I wasn't prepared. I was kind of like, no worry, I get them. Yeah, it's kind of, I had to buy one less, you know, my Christmas tree is usually 9 feet. I had to go for the 8 feet one.
Mm-hmm. No, it definitely is going to require an adjustment. So again, we don't know that the furloughs will begin in January, and it's just a question really of what might come down the road. So I think if you are planning on big expenditures, you might want to think about those, or think about what your budget could be if you were 9.23% less of your salary. It was very difficult. And I can say that, you know, I've asked about differentials. President did make a tier, or you know, different tiers depending on your salary. So he took the biggest cut, right? His is not the biggest salary by any means. There are deans who earn far more than the president, and coaches who earn more than the president of the university. But he took a 20% cut, and he had his executives that earn 200,000 have a deeper cut than those who earn less than 200,000. And I've always thought that it would be, and I know others on the campus also feel, it would be so much more humane if there were tiers, TIE, not TEA, tiers of,
There was,
but there'll be tiers too, those other kind of tiers. But you know, 9.23%, if you're earning a little bit, hurts a lot more than 9.23% if you're earning a lot. So it's just the way that the state rolls things out, and that's the way it's got to be. So I feel terrible about it as well. I'm sorry. I wish there were other ways that we could implement what that implement, whatever I said, what the implementation would be, but I'm sorry. Other thoughts before we go to the next question?
I have a question in terms of retirement. So basically these years and the earnings that you're getting, if the furlough happens over the next 4 years, as they suggested, you know, so that is basically you're not going to use any of those salaries as part of your high threes when you retire. Is that correct? They don't make any adjustments at all in that?
No, if you're going to think of retiring in the next 4 years, your high three is behind you.
Gotcha. Thank you for saying it the right way.
You know, that's what it is. You've already earned your high 3 by now. And remember, if you're, and I would encourage all of you, and I said this before, go to those pre-retirement workshops, even if you're in year 3 of your career, just because it really helps you understand how to plan better for these things. But your high 3 is any 12-month stretch. It doesn't necessarily go by calendar year or academic year. It's any consecutive 12 months, 3 different times to go into your high 3. And what your high 3 is the basis for your retirement. Your retirement is a percentage of your salary, and the percentage is determined by your years of service and your, whatever your plan is, hybrid plan or contributory plan or non-contributory plan. You have a percentage. You get a percentage of your salary for every year of service. And that percentage will be applied to whatever the average is of your highest 3 years of earnings. There's your quick, you know, you don't have to go to the half-day thing, but it's really important that you find all of these things out. Is high 3 only for faculty and all others too? Actually, I don't even know that. Darsh or Linda, if you're on, is high 3 for other bargaining units as well?
I believe it's 5 for APTs. I'm not very sure on that.
Okay, but there is a similar kind of a
Yes.
high, whatever, salary
The
thing.
formula to calculate, yes.
Okay.
Correct, yeah. The date when you're hired, it would depend on that.
Oh, Kevin, high 3 or high 5, depends on when you were hired. Okay. Kevin is willing to answer questions specifically from BU8. Terrific. Thanks, Kevin. Okay. There's one last question that was submitted to the agenda. And this one is for Brian. So I hope he's still on the call and not accepting 5 pallets of PPE. Okay, here's the question. We received and you all been getting them, notices of the COVID positive students and others at UH Manoa. Does the fact that we've received no notices of COVID positive KCC Ohana members this semester mean there have been no cases among KCC faculty, staff, students, or administrators?
No, just to be clear, Manoa sends their, campuses send notifications out when a campus facility may be affected. In a situation for us, we haven't had none. We've had 2 situations in which a campus facility, this is where, for example, student X came to school one day, did not heed his or her health symptoms, and then got sick and got tested the next day, and then informed us. And so, you know, we would take care of the facility, we'd clean the classroom, and it's happened twice. In a situation where student X has not been on campus, has not impacted the campus or infected the campus, then no notification is sent out.
And those 2 cases were the alerts were given.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, there were 3 cases. There was one CIP lab 200 or 100, that's over at the CIP campus. We had one up on the 2nd floor of Iliahi, and we had one, well, gosh, what was that? There was a 3rd one, I forgot where, but it is very few times that when, and we're lucky. And most campuses, in fact, Manoa's, if you look at all of Manoa's, most of their notifications is student housing. So we're very lucky in the fact that most of the students are being kept off campus. So it's been decreasing the number of chances of classrooms or other facilities being, you know, affected. But like I said, most of the Manoa notifications have been because of housing.
2 things, Brian. Number 1, could you stand up, because there's a question about, does the suit come with the background? Oh, okay, thank you.
No, it doesn't. Sheila thought it was a virtual shirt too. No, it's not.
And the other is just curious, Sally says, why Manoa feels the need to send the entire system this list.
You know, that's a great question, and I don't know why. I can ask. I think, you know, when you look at the notification system, you can opt into different levels. You can say all of Oahu. You can just say Kapiolani. You can just say Manoa. I believe I believe it's how you opted in. So
Yeah.
I choose all notifications for all 10 campuses. Most of you will be on all Oahu, and I would recommend all Oahu, especially in a situation like this, because we share students. Even if in a non-COVID situation, we're not much further from, we're not very far from Manoa campus, you know, maybe a couple of miles. So whatever's affecting them will likely affect us as well. So I would strongly, number one, please, if you have not yet, please sign up to the UH alert system. I wish I could mandate that, but I cannot. But it is an extremely important and great safety prevention type measure you can take for yourself. And then I would recommend that when you sign up to do it for all Oahu messages.
Okay. Adam's asking a question about program quality has not been a part of the various spreadsheets comparing campuses. Why has this not been addressed, and how will this be addressed moving forward? Or is restructuring just about number of majors, average class size, etc.? The numerics that you see are those that we can gather. There is no objective measure of what program quality is, and that's the conversation that I would expect the faculty and the deans to have together. And I don't know that that's anything that's available to us who are putting together those numerics. And all of the numerics, Adam, came from ARPD, and that was the only objective information that was out there. So it's not to say that program quality is not important. Absolutely, it is important, but that's, I think, something that should come into the conversations that are had among the educators. Okay.
Louise, I have a question that was, that I apologize, I came in late, so you may have answered already. Is the university have a plan on the COVID vaccine? And if they say that teachers are in whatever phase and are going to be inoculated, does that include UH and all of us, including APTs and everyone else at the university? Has there been discussion?
I don't know, John. I think the state agencies, maybe Major Hara, I'm not sure who's making the calls about the tiers. Again, we have another tier. Who gets the vaccine first? Clearly, the hospital staff, first patient care. Tier 2 is essential workers. And education is an essential business, but I don't know that we're essential workers. So and I'm not sure how those decisions are getting made. I know that there have been requests to some of the campuses to serve as sites for vaccinations. Hawaii CC was approached, Maui, I saw them through a Zoom that we did with the chancellors, and Chancellor Hokoana showed us with his phone that they were in the parking lot practicing what the vaccination lineup was going to be. So certain campuses have been approached as sites for vaccination. The requests have to come to the university for that kind of thing through HAIMA. And we as yet have not been contacted to serve as any kind of vaccination support. In terms of who gets vaccinated when, that's not something that we determine. I'm fairly certain that the state agencies will determine who gets what when.
Louise, if I may.
Certainly.
The Department of Health back in October, I believe it was early part of October, was asked to submit the state of Hawaii's vaccine plan to the administration. And that plan, I don't know what the status of it is. I don't know if it's reviewed and accepted, or if it's just whatever the plan is, the feds will take it. But I do know that in that plan, there were, and Louise's favorite theme, I guess, is tiers, but they call
Tiers.
this one phases. Phase one is frontline workers and nursing home residents, and then individuals who are Radic, you might have to help me. There's a term where you don't have a good good system, immune system, immunodeficient, severely immunodeficient individuals, or immunocompromised
At
individuals.
risk.
Phase one. Phase two are teachers and school staff, other essential workers, and kupuna. This also includes the essential workers includes detention and prisoners. Detention employees and prisoners. There's like two more phases after that. And why I bring this up is because, to answer your question, John, if Manoa's faculty are getting vaccinated, is that all of the teachers? The answer would be yes, generally, because you would fall into the same phase.
So he's put a link in the chat to the state vaccination plan. So it's pretty extensive there. So if you want, chapter and verse, it's pretty much in there.
I think my question was, what I was trying to focus on is, if UH has sort of made the decision that we're gonna not be face-to-face all through the semester, the upcoming semester, maybe we're not as vital to get the vaccine as, for example, teachers who are going to go back to school face-to-face with their students right away or by some date. And I was just wondering if they had broken it down that way, or are they lumping us all together?
They're probably going to differentiate, and Nadine just puts that in the chat. K-12 is going to be different from university, I would imagine. Because mostly K-12 are trying to get back face-to-face. But I don't know that they've gone down granular and saying, okay, those of you who are teaching online, off to the side. Those of you who are teaching face-to-face, line up. I don't know. I'm not sure. But nobody is going to be mandated to take the vaccine. That's what's clear. You will choose. And I think that covers all of the questions. I lost my page, so let me look. Yeah, that covers all of the questions that were in the agenda. ELT, anybody want anything shared right now that hasn't been discussed yet?
Louise?
Yes, Lisa.
Sorry, I just saw something in the chat asking about nursing students. So I just wanted to let you know what I know. And we have been contacted by the Manoa team. You may have seen on their bulletin that they had a pod or a practice session at Leeward on Monday. We were given 8 slots for either our students or our faculty to participate in that practice run. There may be additional opportunities for our nursing faculty and students to participate in the vaccination rollout. In that case, we would also be vaccinated, because you got to be vaccinated to be a part of the thing. I will say that it's complicated. So I know people may be anxious about when you can get, but you're right. They're going to start with emergency frontline workers. They're going to probably prioritize the nursing home residents and their staff. And then we will fall down, probably not till the summer or spring, depending on the doses and the types that get approved and delivered. So it is coming. And again, we are also being told by our clinical facilities they are not going to mandate anything yet, because as you can imagine, they cannot, vaccinate all of the nurses at Queens within a week because of the potential side effects, because then they'll have a potential third of their workforce out with sick symptoms. So we have to really strategically think about it. If you have had a very severe adverse reaction to a vaccination in the past, that's the only concern that they're coming up with now. But yeah, I would stay tuned to the local and national news about how the vaccine rollout is. And likely they will start with the hospitals and then go on to the long-term cares and then prioritize. But that is a state decision. The only thing we're being able to participate is perhaps the rollout of the vaccine and actually participating and get those vaccines to the community. Thanks.
Thanks, Lisa. Other contributions?
I just wanted to note that not only is this our final Chancellor's Update Zoom of 2020, but it's also our 50th meeting since this whole crazy time has begun. And I'm pretty sure the campus had something to say to you, Louise.
Oh, is that right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. That's so nice. I can't believe 50 meetings. Ah, look at you all. Somebody take pictures. This is great. Mary, oh, so nice. Thank you so much. You're so very kind.
Thank you.
You're making me cry, and I just do ugly cries. It's not good. I don't do like movie star crying, you know, with just the tears rolling down. I get baloney face.
I'll give you some lessons on crying.
Let
it roll down the cheeks.
Oh, you guys are too much.
There's the tears.
Thank you.
Thanks, Louise. Hang in there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Aloha,
Louise.
everybody. Be safe.
Louise.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank you, Chancellor.
Thank you,
Y'all
Chancellor.
see what you guys did? Look what you did. You should all feel horrible.
Happy tears. Those are happy tears.
Do I have a Zoom? Do I have another Zoom at 2 o'clock? Oh my God.
You do.
Take a break.
Happy holidays, everybody. Be good, be kind to each other, do well.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Love you
Aloha,
guys.
everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Happy holidays. Aloha.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.